A quick pre-flight checklist. I'm going to forward this to a friend who just got himself, I just built him one, a hexcopter, but things to look for. And one of the things that I made a mistake on answering the phone one day, I had landed the craft, answered my phone. It was in the process of removing the lipo, and I did not attach the Velcros correctly. But I think one of the things that you first check before you lift off is just to make sure that your lipo is securely fastened. And don't use one Velcro, use two. If you have three, use three. They don't weigh anything. For transport, I tie mine down. If you've got arms that are foldable, like this, you have a screw somewhere down here, a pivot point that always moves when you open and close this. On occasion, turn the vehicle over, and as you can see, you're going to have screws here. This is for the center arm, and this screw here and that screw there are for these arms. So the more you open and close this, you need to check the tightness of that of those screws. Loctite is good, not 100% foolproof, so you want to check those. Check your connections before you lift off on your ESCs, your motors. Check the motor nut here, make sure that it's securely fastened, and get a preferably the correct size wrench, that close end wrench that fits right in. If you get a crescent or something constantly turning, you're going to probably have a tendency to strip this. But just unless you have self-tightening props, then you don't have to deal with this. But on here, I always just hold the motor and turn these. You don't have to over tighten them too much. And battery connections, I use Dean's connectors. I don't really like them, but that's what came with. They've got this little locking pin, or see that little pin right there? It helps it stay in place. I don't like them, but if you bend them, it's a headache. But make sure everything fits in nice and tight. You don't want it real easy, because if you don't have a secure connection, that's the last thing you need up in the air. You want these to always make contact without it coming loose. This is my gimbal connection, which hooks up here. That's never an issue. And make sure all your hardware, your wiring is all in place. If you've got landing skids, these are adjustable retractables I made. Just checking to make sure all of that is in place. This is Pixock, obviously. Your compass, that it's securely fastened. I've got Velcro down there, but you don't want this. This has to be straight. If you notice the arrow here on the Pixock and the arrow here on the compass, they've got to be straight. You cannot have them turned. I made a video on an issue that I was having just drift away, and it was because of this was turned slightly. But make sure that everything is in place. The Pixock is sitting nice and flat. You don't want too much vibration in there. That's super important. You don't want that. But other than that, on your radio, a full charge battery. Let's see what this is at. I've got a little bit of condensation built up. 8 volts, we're okay there. But make sure that you've got full charge or 3/4 charge on there. And when you're ready to pop these guys open to fly, what I started doing, because the constant opening and closing of these, they have, I don't know if I can see here, this plastic tab that rubs on the bottom of this that locks it in place. That's okay, but it's plastic. It's going to wear out. So now, when they're in the open position, I get myself Velcro tie downs, strap them across as tight as possible, squeeze here, and now look, you're not, I'm trying to separate hard. You're not going to separate that. So that gives you a double security. The last thing you want is one of these to come loose in flight, and then this one comes loose while it's spinning, and these two touch each other and you're screwed. That thing is coming straight to the ground. proper clearance on the ground, from the ground to the gimbal if you're using one. I don't put my antenna connectors near power lines. I just don't do that. I don't know if you're not supposed to or you can't. I don't know, but I don't. So I keep those away at a distance. I try not to cross them with the batteries too close, but this is for the TM1000, all my telemetry. But I try to keep all of that together, or separated, not together. And FPV is on this side, pointed down. Right or wrong, I don't know. I've never had any issues with that. Just point it down. I keep that away from the power lines also, the LiPo power lines here. Underneath the craft, I've got the regulator there, Pixhawk regulator, from 12 volts down to 5. But I've got that securely in there. There's a tab that I made here, a platform for an additional battery. But other than that, it's checking your props, battery connections, the secureness of your battery, your gimbal. If you've got it mounted on the rails like this one, just make sure that it's in there tight, doesn't move forward or backwards, because obviously you don't want to lose it. I've got a tie wrap here for this front cable, but just make sure that it's securely in there. Your antenna mount, make sure that the locking nut here, this is what keeps it from moving left to right. So just give that a nice little snug tug, and all your other accessories, either with Velcro or tape, this moves easily, but it's not coming out, it's on Velcro. But that is it, and gives you a better chance of not having any issues while you're in the air. If you have any cables, any accessories, this is a temperature sensor for the motors. Make sure they're all secure, so when the props are spinning, the force of the blade and the wind, air, doesn't bring the cable up and get stuck. Other than that, fly as possible in a safe area where you're not going to hurt anybody, hurt yourself. If your vehicle crashes, you're not going to land on somebody. But that is about it. I'm going to fire this up and go fly. Peace. Another thing you guys need to do on your pre-arming sequences is check your balance when you're strapping on your LiPos. If it's not a scientific test, but I just pick it up from 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Look how straight that is. Simple as that. Whatever you're flying, the more center of gravity is in place, the better.